Chapter 1. Today, a theme park on the north side of town opened its Halloween bash, and all tickets were 20% off. I didn't hesitate to buy two, planning to go have a blast with my bestie, Molly. But I waited for ages, and she never showed. She wasn't picking up her phone either. The park was getting livelier by the minute, with most visitors and staff in costumes. The atmosphere drew me in, so I decided to just go in ahead. Ding! As I wandered aimlessly through the park, the notification sound from my phone made me jump. I swiped open the lock screen to an interface that looked like an old letter, with a few lines of text written in alternating black and red. Welcome to our Halloween Fright Night. To ensure your safety, please remember the following rules. If you have any problems, you can go to the clown in the magic house. He'll tell you what to do, but each person can only ask one question, and the clown will only answer yes or no. If you hear someone call your name on the path, find the source of the sound quickly and follow it. If you can't find the source of the sound, shout loudly. But this might attract something bad. Do not remove the cloth on the wall outside the haunted house. Absolutely do not. At 12 a.m., they will all return. Don't let them find you. If you can find it, the carousel is a safe place. Remember, there is no carousel in the park. Be careful to distinguish the people around you. Be careful to distinguish between the real world and the virtual world. Don't trust anyone whose souls are black, they're not human. If you're really scared, just close your eyes and run for it. After dark, the main gate will disappear and reappear at dawn. Finally, we hope you have a wonderful experience. Just as I finished reading, the page vanished. This amusement park is really going all out, sending messages to scare me. Yeah, I got one too. Me too. A few tourists walking past me were discussing the message on their phones. Clearly, everyone had received it. Just as I was marveling at this rather impressive service, a sense of unease crept in. I figured Molly should have replied by now, so I decided to wait for her at the entrance. But the two main gates that were on the park map were gone. Walking back the way I came, the entrance I'd used had somehow transformed into a high wall, cutting off everything outside. My phone had no signal at all. The text I tried to send Molly had a big red exclamation mark next to it. What's going on? I muttered to myself, thinking my phone was broken. You don't have a signal either? Nope. A man nearby struck up a conversation. He had a buzz cut and a fierce look in his eyes that made me a bit wary. Looks like the rules are real. How is that possible? This was the main gate just a minute ago. I just walked in, turned around, and it was gone. A college girl in a witch costume joined our conversation. Is this some kind of special event? I looked at them both, my eyes filled with doubt. No, we've entered a world of rules. We can only leave safely by following them. No way, I have a curfew. My initial slight nervousness subsided when I realized I wasn't alone. So, we just treat this like a game, right? At that moment, I had no idea what awaited me. My mind was still set on having fun for both myself and Molly, since she couldn't make it. Ding! The message came again, this time with just one sentence: huddle down with your head covered immediately. Phase 1 of the cleanup is about to begin. What's this? A cleanup? Are they going to make us all disappear? The college girl and I exchanged a smile, not taking the message seriously at all. The next second, the man who had been chatting with us yanked us down hard. Heads down, now. I was so startled by his shout that I just put my hands on my head. The college girl next to me did the same. In the next moment, I saw something I would never forget for the rest of my life. A horde of rabbits burst out from the nearby bushes. Their eyes glowed an unnatural red, they were almost 2 feet long, and their fangs were razor sharp. Under the dim night sky, they looked like mutated monsters. These creatures crawled onto the people who hadn't ducked down, quickly chewing them down to skeletons. Their white fur was stained blood red. The whole process was incredibly fast, less than half a minute before the monsters retreated back into the bushes. I looked at the bloodstains and skeletons littering the ground and threw up. If it hadn't been for the man, I would look like that right now. What was that? What just happened? The college girl was already crying, her voice trembling as she asked weakly. The man didn't look too good either. He helped us both up. I've read similar stories on forums before. Bad things can happen if you enter an amusement park at night. So what do we do now? We just have to follow the rules and survive until the park opens tomorrow morning. After the first cleanup, most of the people around us had been reduced to skeletons. The few who remained quickly fled the area. The man, the college girl, and I decided to stick together for support. I'm Chris, a horror novel enthusiast. I'm Laura, a student at State U. I'm Wendy. Unemployed. I felt a bit embarrassed saying that. Laura looked at me with a curious glint in her eyes. Your name sounds familiar. I think I've heard it somewhere. Maybe it's just a common name. In the few minutes we were talking, the skeletons that had littered the ground suddenly vanished. The concrete ground looked even eerier under the moonlight. Alright, let's get out of here first. Following the park lights, we reached a convenience store. All the commotion had made my empty stomach protest loudly. Let's get something to eat. Okay. The convenience store looked no different than usual, the only odd thing being the missing cashier. Could it be that the staff get cleaned up too? Well, that just gives us a chance to dine and dash. Chris was quite talkative, and his words helped calm our frayed nerves. Just as we were eating instant noodles, an old woman ran in from outside, crying. We helped her to a chair and gave her several sips of warm water until her trembling gradually subsided. According to the grandma, she had come with her husband to accompany her granddaughter. But her granddaughter heard someone call her name, followed the voice, and just vanished. Her husband heard someone call him, couldn't find where it came from, and shouted out loud. Then those man-eating rabbits came for him. Hearing the grandma's story, my legs went weak, and I almost fell. Chris caught me. Grandma, come with us. We can look out for each other. Chris was exceptionally kind-hearted. Now he was looking after 3 of us. I couldn't eat any more. Chris got some food for the grandma and then found a piece of paper to start studying the rules. Is there a difference between the red and black rules? Could it be right and wrong? So the black rules are the correct ones. Rule 3 said shouting loudly might attract something bad, and Grandma's husband attracted the man-eating rabbits. Then Rule 2, which tells us to follow the voice, must be wrong. It's written in red. Not necessarily right or wrong. Maybe the rules apply to different subjects. Chris's statement confused both Laura and me. What do you mean, different subjects? It's just a guess. I've read similar novels where the subjects were different. So if the black text is for us, then is the red text for them? The discussion hit a dead end. The only thing we were sure of now was that Rule 3 was very dangerous. We just hoped no one would call our names. Why don't we ask the clown? Let's go. We took Grandma Rose and headed towards the haunted house. Each person can only ask one question. We only have 4 chances now. Chances are limited, so let's use half of them for now. After some discussion, Grandma Rose was to ask if her granddaughter was alive. Chris would ask if the different colored text in the rules was intended for different subjects. Laura and I would save our questions until we understood the rules better. The place where we were was only about 500 meters from the gate I had originally entered. The entire park was basically a circle, and the exit directly opposite this one was another exit. The haunted house was in the very center of the park. As we walked, we realized there were very few people left in the entire amusement park. Occasionally, a few would be huddled together, hiding somewhere. You know, we're pretty brave, walking around so openly like this. Oh really? Who was it just now whose legs were so weak they had to hold on to me to stay steady? Chris had no qualms about calling me out. Just as our nerves were starting to relax, that message came again. Still just one sentence, phase 2 of the cleanup is starting. Go play the shooting game immediately. Luckily, there was a balloon shooting game stall right next to us. We quickly ran over, each grabbing a gun. Just then, a girl in a staff uniform walked out from the adjacent room. Less than 2 meters away, I could smell a rotten stench coming from her. I almost threw up everything I'd eaten at the convenience store. Granddaughter. That's my granddaughter. Grandma Rose scrambled, trying to climb into the area where the staff member was standing. Fortunately, Chris managed to stop her. Grandma, look closely. That's not a living person. Although the staff member looked normal on the surface, a closer look revealed that her entire face was stitched on with a very fine thread. And the putrid smell from her body was undeniable, plus the white maggots that kept falling from her pant legs as she moved. Grandma Rose saw these things too, then, crying, she raised her gun. 10 bullets each. Hit 6 to win. I slowly raised my gun, my palms sweating profusely from nervousness, as if the gun would slip from my hand any second. With 1 bullet left, I still had 1 miss. I felt like I was done for, my hands shaking uncontrollably. As I closed my eyes, ready to accept my fate, Chris snatched the gun from my hand. Bang! The last balloon popped. Then he helped the old lady finish shooting her remaining balloons, followed by Laura. Congratulations on passing, everyone. Here is your reward. The staff member's mechanical voice pulled me back from the brink of death I had just experienced. 4 coin-sized tokens and a note appeared out of nowhere on the table. It read, "These are tickets for the carousel. Enjoy your ride." Enjoy my ass. If I'd known, I never would have come to this godforsaken place. Laura ranted furiously. Grandma Rose was still crying, and my legs were too weak for me to speak. Only Chris silently collected the tokens and the note, then told us to hurry and find the clown. On the way, we could still see some skeletons lying on the ground, clearly the second wave of people who had been cleaned up. Chapter 2. Next, we reached the magic house without any trouble. Luckily, we didn't encounter anything else terrifying on the way. I wasn't sure I could handle any more scares. According to the park map, the clown was in the deepest part of the building. We had to feel our way through the dark. Damn, this place is creepy as hell. Laura couldn't help but complain. Grandma Rose was in the middle of us, still crying constantly. The 4 of us approached the clown's table together. As planned, Grandma Rose would ask the first question. My granddaughter, is she still alive? The clown took a step forward out of the darkness. Only then did we see his full appearance. He had big rabbit ears on his head. The clown's already wide, painted smile stretched even wider, inches towards the back of his head. He threw out a card. 2 large words were printed on it. No. Seeing this answer, Grandma Rose's eyes rolled back, and she fainted. Chris caught her. Are the red and black rules written for 2 different groups? The clown threw out another card. Yes. Seeing this answer, we all started to think. But after a few seconds, the clown spoke. His voice was incredibly hoarse, a muffled sentence squeezed from his throat. Since you're here, why don't you stay and play with us? Then his mouth stretched wider and wider, accompanied by a piercing laugh. Suddenly, a man-eating rabbit leaped onto the table, opened its bloody maw, and lunged at us. Run! Chris shouted, and I quickly grabbed Laura's hand and dashed out of the magic house. The clown will give you answers, but he is not safe. That was the fatal flaw in the first rule. The pack of man-eating rabbits only stopped chasing us when we were out of the magic house's range, their crimson eyes staring fixedly at us. Grandma Rose was terrified. When she woke up, she was muttering to herself. "Impossible, my granddaughter must still be alive." We gathered around to comfort her. Suddenly, she looked up at a spot not far away. "My granddaughter. My granddaughter is calling me." "Grandma Rose, that's not her. Don't do anything rash." But unexpectedly, the three of us couldn't hold her back. We watched helplessly as she disappeared into the night. None of the three of us dared to speak, afraid that a voice calling our own name might appear. "So, we can't follow the red rules. Those are their rules," Laura said, calming down and analyzing the situation. "So should we go to the haunted house and remove that cloth?" I asked. Rule 4 said not to remove the cloth on the wall outside the haunted house, and that was also written in red. In that case, Rule 8, be careful to distinguish between the real world and the virtual world, must also be for them. So which world are we in? Chris took out the paper on which he had written down the rules from memory at the convenience store and spread it on the ground to study. Just as we were still puzzling over it, the phone notification sound came again. It said, "They'll be back in 1 minute. All players, hide quickly." Only then did we realize that due to our extreme tension, the four of us had completely forgotten the time. There was only 1 minute left until midnight. We quickly hid in a nearby building. As luck would have it, opposite the magic house was a Ferris wheel. We just got on it and squatted down. The small cabin barely fit the three of us. We sat back to back, silently watching the situation outside. Precisely at 12 a.m., those man-eating rabbits swarmed onto the pathway. Then, pairs of hands stretched out from their bellies, the rabbit skins dropped to the ground and vanished instantly. The entire park was now filled with people in various costumes. No, they couldn't be called people, because their eyes were vacant, and they reeked of decay. They were more like walking corpses. These must be vengeful ghosts here to claim lives. How many shady things did the owner of this park do? Laura whispered. I think so too. Otherwise, why would so many strange things happen? Did you know this amusement park had a major fire 5 years ago? Chris answered the question on both our minds. Laura had only come here for college 2 years ago, and I had only moved to this city this year, so we had no idea what had happened at this amusement park before. Seeing our expressions, Chris decided to tell us about what happened 5 years ago. 5 years ago, this amusement park had just opened a few days before Halloween, and there were a lot of visitors. But the investors cut corners, using discarded building materials for the rides. Everything was fine for the first few days, and the park was very crowded. Then, on the 5th day of operation, which was Halloween night that year, an attraction on the east side of the park exploded. The fire spread quickly, engulfing that whole area. The scariest part was that the investors concealed the true situation from everyone, claiming it was a special Halloween show. This meant firefighters couldn't get there in time to put out the fire, and many people died horribly in that fire. The news caused a sensation throughout the city, and the investor went straight to jail. The amusement park closed down and remained so until 5 years later, now, when it reopened. However, all the amusement facilities inside had been replaced, and neither the owner nor the staff were the same people as before. Could they be the people from back then? I had a strange sense of familiarity with this story. A wave of dizziness hit me, and I rubbed my temples. Possibly. Chris answered my question. At this point, Laura was trembling and gripping our arms. I think I just made eye contact with them. I looked up in the direction Laura had been facing. Indeed, several of them were standing motionless, staring this way. The three of us held our breath, cold sweat dripping down my face. If they come over, open the door immediately and run with me. Chris held out his hand, gesturing for us to grab on. 1 second, 2 seconds. Those few who had been staring at us slowly started walking over. Wendy, open the door. Chris and Laura's screams made my head throb. My body reacted before my mind could, and I pulled open the door and ran in the other direction. I didn't dare look back, just mechanically followed Chris. Just as they were getting closer and closer, a carousel suddenly appeared in front of us. If you can find the carousel, it's safe there. Chris led us to the carousel. But in my eyes, the carousel in front of me was engulfed in roaring flames, and I could see people struggling inside it. I faltered for a moment and fell to the ground. The scene before my eyes kept flickering, alternating between a normal carousel and a burning one. Chris turned back and grabbed my hand, but I could clearly feel that the horde behind us seemed to deliberately go around me. Only when we successfully boarded the carousel did the things chasing us stop. They just stared blankly in our direction, then turned and resumed their aimless search. Thanks. I finally found my voice and thanked Chris. Chris, how did you know there was a carousel here? I don't remember there being a carousel in this park. Laura voiced her confusion. Only then did I notice that the main structure of the carousel had burn marks all over it. This is what's left from that fire. I remember some of the layout from 5 years ago. Hearing Chris's words, I understood. He had been here 5 years ago. Then what was that vision about? Why did I also feel a strange sense of familiarity with this place? Hey! Hello there. A sudden greeting from nearby startled us all. At the same time, my phone received another message. It read, "Congratulations, players, for surviving. Good luck." Only then did we realize that they were gone. The person who greeted us, seeing we didn't respond, introduced himself. "I'm Jason. I'm another survivor," he said, his gaze fixed unwaveringly on me. Laura, seeing a friendly face, was about to welcome him, but Chris stopped her. "Is that so? You're very lucky." Chris's wariness puzzled both of us. The man, seeing Chris's cautious gaze, smiled, waved goodbye, and walked away. "Chris, why not let him join us? We could use more people. Don't you think he's a bit strange?" While we were all looking at our phones, he just stood there motionlessly. "Now that you mention it, yeah." After saying this, Laura pointed in terror at the man's feet. I followed her gaze and saw that not only was he barefoot, but his soles were black. Rule 9, don't trust anyone whose soles are black, they're not human. Chris saw it too, his expression grim. "Let's get out of here." The amusement park now seemed devoid of any living presence. Only a few of us were walking through the vast space. A growing unease made me stop. "Wendy, why did you stop?" I pointed to the public restroom nearby. "Nature calls. Wait for me a second." With that, I slipped into the restroom. To confirm my suspicion, I took off my shoes and socks. Sure enough, my soles were covered in a thick layer of black soot. I'm not human. This realization made my blood run cold. I'm not human, so what am I? Ding! The phone notification interrupted my thoughts. The words on the screen made my pupils dilate. Phase 3 of the cleanup is starting. This time, it didn't say what task we needed to do, meaning it was impossible for any living person to leave this place. I burst out of the restroom door. Laura and Chris were already surrounded by man-eating rabbits. I shouted their names, but it was no use. Before I could reach them, only 2 skeletons remained. Then, the man-eating rabbits scurried back into the bushes and disappeared. Rule 7, be careful to distinguish the people around you. Could it be? Did I kill them? A voice called my name from a distance. I followed it instinctively. A bright light flashed, and suddenly, the scene of the amusement park from 5 years ago appeared before my eyes. I remembered. That fire, I was in it too. The scene before my eyes was instantly engulfed in flames again. I saw myself back then, fearlessly rushing into the burning carousel, pulling out child after child. If you're scared, just close your eyes and run for it. That's what I kept telling myself back then. So the red rules were written for me. The fire hadn't been controlled in time and had spread incredibly fast, but there were many people at the scene, like me, rushing into the flames without a second thought. I saw the man who introduced himself as Jason. I watched him slowly fall in the flames. I wanted to do something, but I couldn't control my body at all. Suddenly, another white light flashed. When I opened my eyes again, I was back in the original place. The entire amusement park was empty. There were no living people left here. I thought back to the rules. Maybe I should go remove that cloth from the haunted house wall. Anyway, I wasn't even human anymore. What was there to be afraid of? I bolted towards the haunted house. The wall was much taller than I had imagined. 5 of me stacked up wouldn't reach that high. I grabbed a corner at the bottom and ripped the cloth down. What greeted my eyes was an entire wall of portrait photos. Some were in color, some black and white, but there were only a few color ones. I saw that the photo right in the middle was me. You finally remembered. Jason suddenly appeared beside me. At the same time, I saw his photo next to mine. Mine was in color, his was black and white. I felt like I was about to cry. I could only turn my head and ask him in a trembling voice. Why are we here? And them? The tourists? Jason patted my back comfortingly, then pointed to the photo wall. These are all the people who died in the fire 5 years ago. They could have escaped safely, but because the organizers released false information, so many people died unjustly. Their souls have been trapped here for 5 years, unable to move on. Because you and I both saved people in that fire, they won't attack us. So this is basically a hopeless situation, right? When the gates open tomorrow, no one will be able to walk out. Jason's expression grew increasingly solemn. I thought of Grandma Rose, Chris, and Laura. They had all just come here to have fun, and now they had paid with their lives. When the gates open tomorrow, those who were killed will return to their normal lives, but within the next month, they will all die from different causes. Is there no way to save them? Perhaps Jason's and my simultaneous appearance triggered new rules. A few lines of red text appeared on the haunted house wall. Find the witch. She will tell you everything. Trust your companions, they will not harm you. You must complete your mission before the main gate opens. Jason saw these words too. After some thought, we decided to go find the witch together. So, where would this witch be? The castle. We hurried there. There were still 3 hours until the main gate appeared. Those man-eating rabbits were roaming the paths, some even riding the amusement park rides. They're reenacting what they did when they were alive. Jason explained to me. Have you been through these scenes many times? Yes, for the past 5 years, this has happened every year on this day. The rabbits' behavior was bizarre, but they didn't attack us, so our journey to the castle was exceptionally smooth. The witch is on the top floor. Let's hurry up. I swear I've never climbed so many stairs in my life. By the time I reached the top floor, my legs were jelly. The witch, cloaked in black, was hidden in the darkness. She only slowly emerged when she saw Jason and me. When I saw her face, I was shocked. You've finally come. Laura, how can it be you? Jason, as if he knew everything, reached out to Laura. Can we know the mission now? Laura conjured a scroll, which landed in Jason's hand. My task is complete. Please, you must lead the living out of here. After saying this, Laura's form dissolved into a mist and dispersed into the night sky. On the way down, Jason told me the connection. Laura was the daughter of the investor who owned the park back then. A month after the fire, she developed cancer and died. Her soul was blocked by those who died in the fire. Only when their resentment disappears can she be reincarnated. But the previous missions given to Jason had all failed, until this year, when I arrived. Only by working together can we restore normalcy here. Jason unrolled the scroll. It contained only 2 sentences. Activate all the original attractions. Kill the clown. He is the cause of everything. No wonder the clown had those huge rabbit ears when we saw him. Jason thought for a moment and decided to take me to activate all the attractions first. So how do we get back to that world? Jason took me to that carousel. This time, the place in my eyes was engulfed in flames. We both sat on the carousel horses, and the next moment, it actually started. The rotating machine, along with the surrounding scenery, began to distort and change. The amusement park from 5 years ago reappeared before us. The rabbits turned back into people. Let's split up and work from both ends. It's less than 3 hours until dawn. We have to be quick. I desperately followed Jason's instructions, going to the control room of each amusement ride to operate the machines. I felt as if I couldn't get tired, frantically running to different places. Don't waste your energy. Everyone will die. Come join me. A voice kept trying to persuade me to give up, echoing in my mind. I tried hard to ignore it, but the voice made my head throb more and more. Join us. Then you won't be tired anymore. Come on, join us. Just as I was about to stop the last Ferris wheel, I finally couldn't hold on any longer and collapsed. Jason, panting, ran over and finished the last task for me. Then he desperately shook me as I lay on the ground. Don't listen to him. Snap out of it. There are still many people waiting for you. My consciousness gradually returned. When I opened my eyes again, we were back on that carousel. What was that just now? It was to make you give up your will to live. We have less than an hour. Let's hurry and find the clown. Jason pulled me and ran towards the magic house. But just as we stepped through the entrance, the rabbits inside actually started attacking us. Run! There were a lot of rabbits. We twisted and turned, finally hiding in a small, remote room. It looked like a janitor's closet. Didn't you say these rabbits wouldn't attack us? They're being controlled by the clown. Time was running out, and outside was full of terrifying rabbits. Leaning against the door, I could hear them, as if they were chewing something. I looked up and saw an air vent above us. Let's go through there. Jason understood my meaning. We stacked up everything we had used to block the door and stood on top. Just as the rabbits broke down the door, we both climbed up. The vent reeked of blood. We crawled along the vent for a long time and finally reached an area above a room. But the scene below made me want to gag. It was piles of bloody skeletons, and the worst part was, they were moving. I tried hard to ignore them and crawled forward bit by bit, but even after what seemed like 10 minutes, we hadn't found a room we could drop into. This is strange. The magic house wasn't this big. I said to Jason, because when I came here with Laura and the others, we could walk through the entire place in less than 10 minutes. This might be a place he created specifically to store the visitors. Looking at the skeletons below, I understood they were the cleaned up visitors. What do we do now? We'll just have to jump down. They probably won't attack us. Above the next room, I closed my eyes and jumped. Jason followed close behind. Open your eyes. They won't attack us. I carefully avoided them and walked out of the room, only to find an endlessly long corridor outside, with dozens of skeletons locked in each room. With only half an hour left, Jason and I ran desperately but couldn't seem to leave this place. My heart began to pound. Is this how it ends? Jason also slumped to the ground, looking dejected. Can it really not be changed? I replayed everything that had happened, trying to find some clue. The red rules were written for us. If you're scared, just close your eyes and run for it. Yes, close our eyes and run. I pulled Jason up, told him to close his eyes, and then we both strode forward. Thump. I had to stop when my forehead hit something hard. When I opened my eyes, we were standing outside the clown's room. Jason pushed open the door before me and walked right in. The clown sat behind the table, a low, mournful laugh coming from his direction. I didn't expect you to make it here. His eyes stared straight at me. He was clearly talking only to me. The next second, his huge mouth snapped open, the sharp teeth inside lunged straight at me. Luckily, I had a small knife on me. I dodged back, and the blade sank into the clown's eye. Jason swung a fire extinguisher and smashed it onto the clown's head. A mask flew off. Under the clown costume was a man. He was now clutching his injured eye, crouching on the ground. Why? Isn't it fun here? So many people come to play with me every year. The man looked up, and I saw his face clearly. It was Chris. If it weren't for me, you would have died in this game long ago. Why can't you stay and keep me company? I remembered where I had seen Chris before. It was in the newspapers 5 years ago. As the park's designer, he was at the amusement park on the day of the fire, and someone saw him cut some wires on the carousel. Yes, the carousel was the first thing to catch fire. The media reported that Chris had developed an antisocial personality due to childhood trauma. He destroyed the amusement park and then, with his obsession, created this world of rules. All the victims were trapped here by him. So, killing him was the only way to restore things to normal. Chris's evil and the investors' greed caused this whole situation. Chris, you've killed too many people. Are you not even going to let the living go now? While Jason and Chris were talking, I lunged and stabbed him in the stomach. Unfortunately, the mascot costume was too thick. I couldn't pierce his flesh. You can't kill me. I want you to stay here with me. Chris suddenly started chanting, and the door was smashed open by rabbits. Come on, my little darlings, make her stay and play with us too. But the next second, the rabbits didn't attack me. They all pounced on Chris. I backed out of the room and saw light gradually appearing in the distance. After a few screams, Chris was gone. It seems the sunrise affected them. Jason and I reached the park entrance. He gave me a hard push outwards. Time to wake up. I heard cheering around me, but I couldn't control my body. It was my mother. She was stroking my face, calling me Wendy. She's finally awake after 5 years. I stayed in the hospital for another half a month before I was finally discharged. My mother told me that on the day I woke up, the man who had maliciously damaged the amusement park facilities 5 years ago died. It was all over the news. I clicked on the related news, and the name Chris caught my eye. I found a list of those who died in the fire back then. I read through it several times before I saw the name at the very end. Jason Miller, City A firefighter, died in the line of duty, age 22. The ones with black soles. They were heroes.